Okay, so go ahead and inhale for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath for 10 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now exhale for 10 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now inhale deeply for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. And hold your breath for 10 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now exhale for 10 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, last set. Inhale deeply for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath for 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And exhale for 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Okay, now think of a time where someone really stepped up for you, or where they went the extra mile for you, where they didn't have to do it, but they cared enough about you to help you during a time where you needed their help the most. Maybe you didn't even ask them to help you, but somehow they knew you needed their help. Maybe they could sense it, and they came and jumped into the foxhole with you and fought your battle with you side by side. And maybe what you were going through was so rough, you couldn't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. The challenge you faced seemed insurmountable, but when this person stepped up for you, they gave you the encouragement you needed to keep fighting. Maybe they even coached you through the process because they too had gone through something similar, and they helped you believe that if they could get through it, then you could get through it too. Sometimes I think God sends us guardian angels in the form of human beings. Maybe this person that stepped up for you was kind of like a guardian angel to you. Audibly say, thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Okay, next, think of a time where a seemingly coincidence happened. I say seemingly because I believe we're blessed with opportunities that seem like coincidences all the time. But in reality, these events are not coincidences at all. They're all part of God's plan. So think of a time where maybe you met someone that changed your life. Maybe it was someone that became your best friend, or maybe someone you met as a business associate or a mentor, or someone that you could have easily not met had you not crossed paths. Think of all the things that could have happened to prevent this so-called coincidence from happening. Had you shown up just 5 minutes later or 5 minutes earlier, or had you not gone to that event or that party or that conference, that you would have never experienced that experience, and you would have never met that person, or you would have never heard that encouraging message. There have been times where I didn't feel like going to an event or watching a video or reading a book. But once I did, I realized that was what I needed to see or hear or read. It was like God knew I needed that message or that experience to help me move forward. You see, these aren't coincidences at all. These are messages we receive through divine intervention. So think of a time where something happened that seemed like a coincidence, but turned into something life-changing. Think about how easily that could have not happened. You see, that was a gift, a gift that you needed, that you did nothing to deserve. Right? You didn't plan it, you didn't create it. It just happened for you. Relive that moment. Remember how it felt back then. Connect with how it feels right now, knowing that you were gifted this incredible relationship or lesson or opportunity, whatever it was, and how it changed your life forever. And now audibly say out loud, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now think of a time where something really bad happened to you, a major letdown, a heartbreaking moment, something that seemed like the worst thing that could have ever happened to you. Maybe it was a divorce, or the loss of a friendship, or a betrayal. Maybe you lost something that you worked so hard to gain, and it seemed like your life was over. But here you are, years later, and you realize it was a blessing in disguise. Had that heart-wrenching thing not happened, you wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't be with the people you're with today had that not happened. You wouldn't be the person you are today had that not happened. You wouldn't be so strong. Sometimes these things happen to us in life, these things that are so hurtful, that seem so unfair, these things that crush our egos and break our hearts, these things that make us doubt ourselves. Sometimes these things needed to happen to send us in a new direction with new people and new relationships, the kind of relationships we truly needed. And if we were still connected with those people from the past, we would have never met the people we're with now. In fact, if you're going through the separation of a relationship right now, I know you're struggling. I know you're hurting. I know the devastation that you feel right now. And believe me, I've suffered so many losses along the way. But what I didn't realize when I was going through it was that it wasn't meant to hurt me. It was meant to purge toxic people out of my life so those relationships could be replaced with better ones. If you're going through that type of separation right now, the great samurai warrior Miyamoto Musashi once said, never be saddened by a separation, because the separation is like cutting cancer out of your life and making space for the right relationships to come into your life, the kind of relationships that will build you into the person you were meant to be. And if you've already experienced this, you know what I'm talking about. Think about how thankful you are for what you gained out of that seemingly horrible betrayal or that seemingly horrible situation. In fact, you really ought to write those people thank you letters because they freed you to become the person you are today. Thank God you didn't get what you previously wanted. Right? You were selling yourself short, and now you realize just how much better you are without those people holding you back. And this was a blessing in disguise. And speaking of people who have betrayed you, you need to forgive them. And not because they deserve it. In fact, they probably don't deserve it, quite frankly. But I'm not saying you should forgive them because it's the right thing to do either. Right? I'm saying you need to forgive them for your benefit. Forgiveness is not for the forgiven. Forgiveness is for the forgiver. And don't let those people occupy your mind space and your spirit. Right? Don't let them have that kind of hold over you anymore. You let it go. And don't let it go because you're supposed to let it go. Let it go because you now realize that they did you a favor. They made it easier for you to move on without them. If they didn't betray you, you'd still be stuck with that person, and they were holding you back. They were keeping you from achieving greatness in your life. And they were causing more stress and drama in your life than they were bringing happiness and peace. They were like a little parasite, sucking the lifeblood out of you. And now, you're free. Again, you should be writing them thank you notes for setting you free. Free to soar and become the person you were meant to be. How we choose to define the meaning of these types of experiences changes everything. If we look at them and compare them to the outcomes of what we initially thought we wanted, well, yeah, it's depressing. But if we look at them as necessary separations that allow us to be afforded better opportunities, if we change the way we define the meaning of these experiences, then we come into an understanding that these people were a necessary part of our lives at that time, But now it's time to go to the next level. And they were never meant to go to that next level with you. They would have held you back. They couldn't have gone where God is taking you now. And for that, be thankful. Be thankful. Now, there's one more person that you have to forgive. And this is by far the most difficult person to forgive because they made so many mistakes. You've been way too hard on this person, criticizing them every day. And this person that you have to forgive is yourself. You've been beating yourself up every day, telling yourself that you should be further along in life than you are. That you've been comparing yourself to other people that have more, earn more, are more. You feel guilty that you aren't where you want to be yet. And maybe you even feel like you're letting your family down. Well, listen, I get it. I've been there so many times. You have no idea. But you see, the reason you feel this way is because you have an expectation in your mind of how your life is supposed to be. And every time something terrible happens, every time you fail at something, right, every time something doesn't work out the way you planned, you feel like it's your fault and that you screwed it all up. But maybe, just maybe, things weren't supposed to work out the way you wanted them to initially. Maybe God has a bigger plan for you. Maybe the level you're meant to rise to is far greater than what your initial goals were. So many times we lose sight of what our experiences taught us about things not working out, like those separations we talked about earlier, because experiences taught us that the worst things that have happened to us were blessings in disguise. And maybe the terrible struggle you're going through right now is a blessing in disguise. Right? It's not your fault, so forgive yourself. And stop blaming yourself for the world not complying with your every wish, because perhaps your wish is selling yourself short. Now think of all the people that hurt you. Think of all the terrible, hurtful things they said about you. And you believed these lies all these years. And they made you feel like you weren't good enough. And as you think about how all these people see you, now think about how God sees you. He loves you unconditionally. He loves you the way a parent loves their child. The way you love your children, but even more, even deeper. He created you as a one of one. There is no one in the history of the world that shares the same fingerprints as you. He made you exactly as you are. And He loves you and accepts you, even with all your flaws and imperfections. Do you make mistakes? Yeah, of course. But He loves you as a work in progress. He even knows your ass is crazy sometimes, and you get off track, and you have to get back on track from time to time. But if He loves you that much, then it's okay to love yourself and accept the fact that you make mistakes. Right? It's okay. And even if you don't believe in God, you can believe that you are still a piece unique, meaning that there's only one of you, and that alone makes you special. So forgive yourself. It's okay. Despite all your mistakes, despite all your struggles, despite all your failures, you can start building the life you were meant to live right now. And be thankful for who you have in the foxhole with you right now. You'll be thankful for the coincidences that changed your life. And be thankful for the struggles in your life, because they are truly blessings in disguise.